What's good, team? Right out about to bring you guys another episode of the Explained series today, and on this week's episode, I'll be bringing you guys the Darklord Archetype Explained. I'm going to be going into the Archetype History, like I've always been doing with these older archetypes, and going over the deck analysis. So, without wasting time, let's begin. Archetype History. The archetype was first introduced in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX by, I think her last name was Hibiki. It was a long name I can pronounce, but it was introduced in the GX. And the archetypes originate from the Fallen Ones, which is Midori the Fallen One and Nurse Reficule the Fallen One. So you guys probably remember those cards from back in the day. Midori the Fallen One came out a long ass time ago, so this archetype is pretty freaking old. And in Japan, the archetype was mainly released as promos, coming out as V-Jumps exclusives and etc. So this archetype has a long time history. Fun fact, Midori the Fallen One and Nurse Reficule, if I pronounced that right, it's based around life points, but with that being said, the nuke stuff is not based around life points. But yeah, that's enough of the archetype history. Started off in the anime, preferably manga, so about 11 years strong, and started with the Fallen Ones and are mainly promos. So now that I went over briefly the archetype history, I guess I could also mention that the archetype is obviously based on demonic spirits and the Bible and stuff, like fallen angels and stuff, so like Satan and etc. So if you're into all that stuff, you can do your own research. I'm not into all that satanic ritual bullshit. I don't fuck with that shit. So let's get at the archetype history out of the way and get into the actual cards. Now I'm going to go over some of the original cards, read their effects, and tell you what they do. Midori the Fallen One. Dark Monster, level 5. Fiend type, 1700 attack, 1200 defense. Which is really odd because most of these guys are fairies while Midori the Fallen One is a fiend. As long as this card is in the graveyard, increase your life points by 200 points during each of your standby phases. This was used back a long time ago, back when I was a kid, and it wasn't really seen too much competitive play, but I've seen people at locals bring it out here and there. Darklord Zerato. Now this is one of the original first Darklord cards that actually seen competitive play in Dad back when the first Dad deck was released. Very good, very powerful. Level 8, Dark Monster, 200 attack, 2300 defense. If you have 4 more Dark Monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can tribute summon this card by tributing 1 Dark Monster. You can send 1 Dark Monster from your hand to the graveyard, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. During the end phase, this activated this effect. This turn, destroy this card. So essentially, it was a Regeki. It was a way to bring out Dad, pop back row. And if you couldn't pop any monsters left, bring out your Darklord Zerato, or if you didn't have the Dad, you can bring them out clear field and just go for game. So, and then Nurse Reficule, one of the older cards for the archetypes. You guys probably know this card from the famous deck Nurse Burn, which gets seen here, play here and there. It was competitive at one point, but it just never hit that edge. Effect basically reads any effect that will cause opponent to gain life points instead it inflicts the same amount of damage. So this deck lost a lot of power when Upstart Goblin went to 1 because people go first turn Nurse Reficule and Upstart, and burn opponent for 1,000 and draw. What's not to like about that card? Now I'm going to go over to the original Trinity. So I call these guys the original Trinity, not because they're the original first cards. Technically these guys were, but they were YCS prize cards. Yes guys, these shitty trios YCS prize cards. They're not bad per se, but I guess Konami just figured, hey, I'm just going to give these guys out as prize cards. I believe they were given out as a set. I wasn't playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Around this time, so if you guys know any of that fact where they give out a set or not, post it in the comment section down below. Starting off with Darklord Amdusias. This card cannot be special summoned from the deck or graveyard once per turn. You can send 1 fairy type from your deck to the graveyard. When this card you control is destroyed and sent to your graveyard, special summon 1 Asmo token fairy type dark level 5, 800 attack, 1300 defense, and 1 these tokens 1200 attack, 1200 defense. Tokens cannot be destroyed by card effects and by battle, so it's pretty good. If you bring it out, bring out your tokens, it's okay card. I believe it got used here and there in fun, a lot of rogue decks, but nothing too competitive. Darklord Superbia, level 8 dark, 2900 attack, 2400 defense. When this card is special summon from the graveyard, you can target 1 fairy type monster in your graveyard except Darklord Superbia, special summon a target. So simply you can go Superbia and another fairy like Darklord I guess not Zerato because Zerato gonna be special summon. They have their own claws, but you can go Superbia into the next guy I'm about to read, which is Darklord Ixtab, level 5. Dark, 2300 attack, 2000 defense. If this card is special from the graveyard, gains the following effect. Pretty much inflicts trample. So these cards weren't that great, which is why they were prized cards by Konami. I know for a while Konami was hesitant to release powerful prize cards due to the fact that at a certain point they actually were trying to help the player out, because back in the day they would give us cards like Crush Card Virus and Gold Sarcophagus, which if someone won a YCS, they were at a huge advantage for using those cards in the duels, which is why a lot of players who played Dad back in the day was just wrecking people, because if you had Dad and the Crush card, you're pretty much winning. Back in 2007, 8, 9, Yu-Gi-Oh was pretty much pay to win, kind of similar to how it is now, but especially back then due to the fact that YCS prize cards were that powerful. So now that I went over the original Trinity, we're going to go over some of the new cards for the Archetype. So these cards were just released in the OCG. I'm going to have a pop-up on the screen that says what set they come out in, because I forgot to do it before I actually start shooting the video. So let's begin. Darklord Amdusias. Now once again, these names are really weird because they're based off of satanic, fallen angel names and demonic shit. Yeah, it's kind of messed up on how these are all based off of demons and shit. Anyway, you can discard this card and one Darklord or Fallen One card, then target one Darklord or Fallen One card in your graveyard. Add it to your hand during either player's turn. You can pay 1,000 life points, then target one Darklord special card in your graveyard. This effect becomes the target effect when that card is activated. Then shuffle the target into the deck. You can only use the effect of each Darklord Most Hideous once per turn. You can special summon Darklord Most Hideous once per turn. Okay, pretty good card. Dark Fairy type, so it can be used with your Superbia, which is really good. Then you can just abuse this effect by using a spell and trap card, which I'm going to be going into later in this video. Next up, Darklord Ixtab. Level 10, I believe, 2500 attack, 2900 defense. You can discard this card and one Darklord or Fallen One card, draw 2 cards. During either player's turn, you can pay 1,000 life points and target one Darklord special trap card in your graveyard. This effect becomes that target's effect. You can only use each effect of Darklord Ixtab once per turn. You can only special summon Darklord Ixtab once per turn. So each tab is really good. You can pitch him and another Darklord or Fallen One card to draw 2 cards. That's very consistent for the deck due to the fact that all these cards are high level monsters, so you're definitely gonna want to pitch them out of your hand. And then when you can pay 1,000 life points, target the Darklord spell trap, and gain the effect. What is there not to like about that when you hit them in the field? You can't spam the effects more than once per turn. You can only use one of the effects, similar to like Elemental Hero Stratos. I mean, not Stratos, but Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. But with that being said, this card is very powerful. Definitely a 3 of in the deck. Darklord Lucifer. Wonder who he's based off of. Cannot be special summoned. This card is tribute summon. You can special summon one Darklord and or follow one monster in your hand and or deck up to the number of effect monsters your opponent controls. So that's pretty powerful. While you control another Darklord monster or follow one monster, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Once per turn, you can send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of Darklord or follow one monsters on the field. And if you do, gain 500 attack for each Darklord and follow one monster sent to the graveyard by this card effect. Very powerful. Tribute summon him out. Special summon a Darklord follow monster from your hand or deck equals the number of effect monster your opponent controls. That's broken. That is really ridiculous. So you can match their field if you do bring him out, and your opponent cannot target this card. So yeah, this card is really good. I'll say it's a solid 2 of. You're gonna want to bring him out and just go off 2 tributes, 3,000 attack, 3,000 defense. It combos well with Ixtab if you clunk both in their hand. Lucifer's broken card. Of course, he had to be a broken card because it's based off of Christianity's main fucking villain, pretty much, Lucifer. Next up, Darklord Mastema. It is 2600 attack, 2600 defense, level 7, dark type. This card is in your hand. You can discard 2 other Darklord and or follow angel cards to special summon it. This card during either player's turn. You can pay 1,000 life points, then target one Darklord special top of your graveyard. Copy the effect pretty much, and you can only bring him out once per turn. Very powerful, similar to the similar to Asmodeus and everything else. It's okay. I can see it being used here and there in a pure build. Non-pure builds like the Darklord Train deck that's been doing good in the OCG. It's probably not used as much, but I have yet to look at those deck lists, so I could be wrong. Next up, Darklord. I'm just gonna call him Traplord because that fucking name is T's. I can't pronounce that shit. If the Darklord or follow one monster you control, be destroyed by battle or by card effect while this card is in your hand, you can discard it instead. During either player's turn, you can pay 1,000, copy effect in the graveyard. It's okay. He's kind of like he's a protection card, making it seem like this deck can run little to no traps because he's a trap. That's a good card. I like it. Yeah, it's okay. Not that bad. Alter the Darklord card. This is where shit start getting nutty. Alter, special summon one Darklord or follow one monster from your graveyard in defense position. You can only activate one alter per turn. So pretty much all those effect copying, you can bring out one of their guys to use this effect, the copying effect, to spam the field. Really good. Casting out of the Darklords. Add one Darklord or follow one from your deck to your hand, except casting out of the Darklords. So as consistency, you can add that one guy to pitch another Darklord to draw two. That's pretty good. Copying the effect, if you got that in your graveyard, it can fix dead hands. Valhalla of the Fallen. Now, this is not specifically a Darklord card. It is technically one of the oldest cards in the Archetype before they even started. I believe before they even decided they wanted to make this deck an Archetype. Once per turn, you can summon one fairy monster from your hand. If you control no monsters, you must control no monster without this effect. So, I mean, you can bring out most of these guys. They don't have any clauses outside of Asmodeus and Zerato. Well, Zerato doesn't even have any clauses. What the hell am I talking about? I'm stupid. Okay, so Superbio can bring out Zerato that's busted. For some reason, I thought Zerato had a clause that you can bring out, like similar to something like Asmodeus. But yeah, back to this card. Valhalla. So it's a good card in the deck. Instant 3-of. It's going to help fix consistent hands and help push the fields and help get your tributes out. Nothing more to be said about that. Instant staple. Darklords from Fallen Grace. Send one Darklord or follow one monster from your hand or face up to the field to the graveyard. Destroy one card in the field. So yeah, so you pitch the dead ones out of your hand, pop a card, which is said banish since you got to minus yourself. So okay, I'll see people running 2 to 3. I mean, I guess you got to if you want to send them to the graveyard and bring them out. So worth testing at 3. Realistically, probably gonna be used at 2. Darklord Temptation. Now, this is the broken one. You send one of the specific types, of course, to take control of one of your opponent's monster to end phase. This can be used during your opponent's turn. Sucks against Cosmos because them motherfuckers can't be touched. But that being said, just taking opponent's monster, overlaying with it. I mean, what's not there not to like about that? I mean, you can pretty much OTK with somebody with this card. Very powerful. Now I'm just gonna go over some good cards for the deck. So the deck is pretty much obviously good with Lower Darkness because most of the stuff is dark. Trade in because Trade In's a good draw card. Foolish Barrel because you're going to send some of the stuff to the graveyard. Deck Devastation Virus and Eradicator Epidemic Virus. And the one card I forgot to put on here was Sacred Sword of 7 stars because you banish the guys out of hand to draw 2 and then you can bring them back with one of those trap cards to say, especially when a banish card out of the graveyard. So, I mean, out of the banish zone. So, those cards are pretty good for the deck. I mean, the deck has a lot of Archetype good cards. So, Allure Darkness is the main thing you're going to want to be using in this Archetype. Now, some final thoughts on the deck. In the closing statement to this video, the deck is really good. It's going to have some crazy combos. It's going to span the field a lot. Asmodeus is insane. I mean, everything in this deck is good. I can clearly see this deck being a solid tier 2 to tier 1.5 in the near future. So it spans the field, has a bunch of crazy combos, and honestly, I see it being a good tier. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. As I always tell you guys, if you're a new viewer to the channel, I'd love for you to subscribe for more competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. I upload 3 times a week. On Mondays, I do my general discussions. On Wednesdays, I do my top 10s. And on Fridays, I do my Explain series where I explain decks and archetypes in detail. I do these videos because I truly believe in helping you guys become better players. And also do these videos because I truly believe in you guys helping me become a better player. This is Chris from Team Innovation, and I'm signing out. Peace, guys, and stay innovative. Also, add me on Twitter at Innovation Yu-Gi-Oh. Peace, guys. Once a week, but I wanted to wait to after the regional circuit to see what decks are going to be the best of the best of the best. So, for this video, I'm using a regional compilation